Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm Coach Jordan, and I have Coach Shauna here with me. We are filling in for Shelby to bring you today's webinar. And before we get started, just a few reminders. We will have time for some questions at the end of the presentation. You can type those in by clicking the Q&A section or the chat area in the lower portion of the control panel. We will be posting a recording of the webinar on our blog. The link for that will be shown at the end. And if you would like a PDF copy of the presentation, there will be a link to download that on the same page as the recording. So if your questions don't get answered today, or if you think of any others after the fact, please email them to our inbox, which will be shown on the contact page at the end. So I'd like to start things off and get a good old pun or two out of the way. Let me just say that we hope this webinar will bring you or give you some food for thought, and if that joke wasn't brutal enough, then I'd hate to tell you that being deficient in certain nutrients is probably a tougher pill to swallow. No, not a good joke. But in all seriousness, it is important that we take time to acknowledge what foods are most nutrient dense in order to keep our bodies functioning to the highest capacity. We're going to take some time today to share with you what you need to know about the vitamins and nutrients we get from our foods, and also what happens when we are deficient in certain nutrients. So the phrase counting my macros seems to be tossed around a lot these days, but who out there actually knows what that means? Macronutrients are the primary or larger nutrients that go into fueling our bodies. The big three would be carbs, fats, and proteins, which help to maintain our function and give us energy. The two macros that have gotten a bad rap being carbs and fats, but they are necessary pillars in our diet. When eaten in the right ratio, these macronutrients can improve our overall well-being. As long as they're not overconsumed, we can prevent ourselves from developing issues. So carbohydrates are the main source of our energy. Carbs break down into glucose and aid in digestion and fullness. Carbs that are better for us include whole grains, brown rice, and legumes. Those bad carbs or starches are, sources like white bread, cookies, sugar, sodas. These cause our blood glucose to rise quickly. And obviously some of these sources, being better than others, so it's best to remember that balance is key. Fats are also important energy sources that are broken down during digestion into fatty acids and fat-soluble vitamins. They also contribute to satiety, flavor, and palatability to our diet, providing certain vitamins, which we will go into further when we discuss fat-soluble vitamins. Protein helps build and repair muscle tissues and organs, as well as aid in hormone regulation. Common examples being meats, poultry, fish, eggs, cheese, Greek yogurt, tofu, and certain vegetables are also good sources of protein. So we can get actually 4 calories per gram of protein. So some additional food for thought. Now, micronutrients, or the smaller amounts, are also essential for our functions such as digestion, hormone production, and brain function. Going forward, we're going to discuss these in further detail and addressing things like calcium, magnesium, B and C vitamins are also examples of micronutrients which aid in our functions. Each micronutrient has an ideal amount that you should consume in order to be most effective. So we're not going to be able to discuss that specifically today as it varies so much for each person. But we do recommend that you take some time to look into the specific nutrients that we will be discussing and how that would benefit you.
We're going to dive a little bit deeper into those micronutrients that Jordan mentioned, starting with water-soluble vitamins. A water-soluble vitamin is one that dissolves completely in water. They are not easily stored in our bodies, and when they are consumed in excess, they simply get flushed out when we are done using them. Since these vitamins are not stored in our body, it's important to get enough of them from the food we consume. These vitamins help with the process our body uses to get or make energy from the food we eat. Each water-soluble vitamin has a unique role. However, their functions are related. So let's go over some of the different vitamins, their roles and functions, as well as some of the dietary sources. Starting with vitamin B1 or thiamine. Thiamine's main function is helping convert nutrients into energy. It is also important for the growth, development, and function of your cells. Some of the common food sources include white rice, black beans, whole grains, nuts, seeds, meat, and fish. Next up, we have vitamin B2, which is necessary for growth development, energy production, cell function, and fat metabolism. Some of the richest sources include organ meats like liver, dairy products, meat, eggs, leafy vegetables, almonds, and legumes or beans. Next in line is vitamin B3 or niacin, which helps to turn the food you eat into the energy you need. Niacin is important for the development and function of the cells in your body. Food sources include lean poultry, heart-healthy fish like salmon and tuna, eggs, dairy products, and leafy greens. B5 is our next vitamin. B5 has a similar function of turning the foods you eat into the energy you need. It also has the necessary function of making and breaking down fats. Some food sources include animal products, eggs, milk, tuna, mushrooms, chickpeas, and avocados. B6 is up next. So vitamin B6 helps your body release sugar from stored carbohydrates for energy, and it is critical for the formation of red blood cells, and it is involved in energy and amino acid metabolism. B6 is found in virtually all food, but some of the best sources include trout, chicken, beef, root vegetables, tomatoes, and broccoli. And on to vitamin B7. You may know it as the synthetic source biotin. Biotin is necessary for the metabolism of those macronutrients that Jordan mentioned, the protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Biotin has also become popular as a supplement to improve the quality of hair, skin, and nails. Some good sources of B7 is salmon, legumes, cauliflower, sweet potato, and nuts. Moving along to vitamin B9 or folate. B9 is essential for cell growth, DNA formation, and amino acid metabolism. It is extremely important during periods of proper cell division and growth, such as infancy and pregnancy. Folate is typically supplemented as the synthetic form called folic acid during pregnancy to help reduce potential birth defects of the brain and neural cord. Some of the best natural food sources for B9 include spinach, white rice, and asparagus. And our final B vitamin is vitamin B12. B12 is necessary for red blood cell formation and the proper function of the nervous system and brain. It is also required for converting protein and fat into energy. B12 is the only vitamin that doesn't completely follow that not stored rule. Our bodies can store some B12 in the liver, but any excess above that storage threshold is then flushed out. Regarding sources of B12, animal products are virtually the only dietary source. These include meat, dairy products, seafood, and eggs. Non-animal products or plant foods do not have any B12 in them naturally. However, some products may be fortified or added with processing. You may have heard of fortified breakfast cereals or bread. These fortified products do contain some of the B vitamins our bodies need, but they tend to be heavily processed foods and include many unnatural ingredients that are not quite so healthy. So just remember to be mindful of the nutritional serving sizes for those products. And finally, we have vitamin C. I'm fairly certain that we're all aware of vitamin C and its relation to our health. You know, that pull that we have towards orange juice when we're not feeling so great. Aside from its importance to our immune system, it is required for many other things, including antioxidant defense, meaning it helps protect your cells against free radicals, those things which are molecules that can cause damage in our bodies. Vitamin C is also important to collagen production. Without vitamin C, your body is unable to form it, which is the main protein in our connective tissues, meaning our skin, tendons, ligaments, and bones. Aside from those oranges that we mentioned, some other food sources for vitamin C include red peppers, kale, grapefruits, guava, and kiwis.
All right. So fat-soluble vitamins, on the other hand, are absorbed by our bodies when they're consumed alongside with a source of fat and are stored in the liver or other fatty tissues. The list of fat-soluble vitamins are vitamin A, which is necessary for proper vision and organ function, comes from liver, dairy, fish, sweet potatoes, carrots, and spinach. Vitamin D promotes proper immune function and assists in calcium absorption and bone growth, but it's known to have a much more potent effect on our mental health as well. So have you ever spent time outside, outdoors, getting some sunlight and just felt like all ailments were slowly evaporating? Plenty of positive mental and physical benefits come from getting vitamin D. And other sources of vitamin D would include fish oil and dairy products. Vitamin E assists in immune function and acts as an antioxidant that protects cells from damage. Sources of vitamin E include sunflower seeds, wheat germ, and almonds. Next is vitamin K, which is required for blood clotting and proper bone development. And it comes from sources like leafy green vegetables, soybeans, and pumpkin.
Now we're going to go through the other half of those micronutrients, and those are the minerals. Minerals are elements that are found in the earth and in the food we eat, and they are considered essential. For example, minerals are needed for heart and brain function, as well as the production of hormones and enzymes, which help with chemical reactions in our bodies. There are two different types of minerals. Those are the macro minerals and the trace minerals. Macro minerals are needed in larger amounts than the trace ones in order to perform their specific roles in your body. So let's go over them, starting with the macro minerals. Calcium, which is the most abundant mineral in the body. It is necessary for the proper structure and function of our bones and teeth. Consuming enough dietary calcium is extremely important to prevent bone loss. It also assists in muscle function and blood vessel contraction. Some examples of calcium-rich foods are sardines, broccoli, various dairy products, and leafy greens. The main function of phosphorus is in the formation of bones and teeth as well. It also plays an important role on how the body uses carbohydrates and fats, as well as making protein for the growth, maintenance, and repair of cells and tissues. The main food sources for phosphorus are the protein food groups, so meat and dairy. Next is magnesium, which assists with over 300 enzyme reactions, including the regulation of blood pressure and your heartbeat. It helps to maintain normal nerve and muscle function, supports a healthy immune system, and helps bones remain strong. It can help adjust blood glucose levels and aid in the production of energy and protein. Some of the best food sources for magnesium include black beans, squash, and brown rice. This one we all know, sodium, which is an electrolyte that aids in fluid balance and the maintenance of blood pressure and blood volume. It works in combination with the next macro mineral, chloride. Together, sodium and chloride are critical life-sustaining minerals. Sodium chloride, or as we know it, salt, is a required part of the diet within a healthy amount, meaning less than about a teaspoon a day. Most people in the US almost double that. Aside from being a component in salt, additional sources for chloride include seaweed and celery. Another electrolyte is potassium. Potassium maintains fluid levels in cells and helps with nerve transmission and muscle function, including the beating of your heart. You can find potassium in fruits like grapes, blackberries, oranges, grapefruits, and the most common we know, bananas, mushrooms, as well as root vegetables like carrots and potatoes. The final macro mineral is sulfur. Sulfur is part of every living tissue and is contained in some essential amino acids, which are used in most proteins in the body. Since sulfur is so abundant in nature and easily found in the majority of foods we consume, it's not typically classed as a required nutrient in the diet. However, garlic, onions, Brussels sprouts, and eggs are some good sources of sulfur if you're looking to increase your intake. Along with some of the food items that I'd already mentioned, there are some that are listed as a source for multiple macrominerals, including nuts like almonds, cashews, and Brazil nuts, seeds like sunflower, pumpkin, and sesame seeds, and spinach. Focusing on getting some of these foods in your diet can help ensure that you get the ideal amounts of a variety of essential minerals your body requires. Next up, we have our trace minerals. So those are the ones that are needed in smaller or trace amounts than the macro minerals, but they still enable important functions in your body. Iron is used in red blood cells to carry oxygen to the muscles and tissues. It helps to prevent anemia and is also a critical component of many other metabolic proteins and enzymes. Iron that is found in animal sources is easily absorbed by your body. So these include meat, poultry, seafood, and organ meats. Iron is also found in some plant sources. However, these are harder for your body to absorb, which means you may need more of it if you limit your animal products. Plant sources of iron include nuts and seeds, dried fruits, beans, and dark leafy green veggies. Combining these iron-rich plant foods with vitamin C can help your body absorb the iron much more efficiently. The next trace mineral is manganese, which is needed to help our body stay healthy. We use it to make energy and to protect cells from damage. It is also important for strong bones, blood clotting, and a healthy immune system, and can help break down carbs, proteins, and cholesterol. Good sources include pineapple, squash, brown rice, dried figs, and soybeans. Next up is copper, which is required for energy production, connective tissue formation, as well as normal brain and nervous system function. Copper can be found in beef liver, Parmesan cheese, and dried apricots. And here we have zinc, which plays multiple roles in the body as it is involved in many cellular metabolic processes. It is used in growth and development, wound healing, the immune system, neurological function, and reproduction. Animal proteins are the best sources for zinc, so products such as beef, lamb, pork, and dark meat chicken. Beans are also a good source of zinc. Iodine is next, which is considered a critical mineral. It is a component of the thyroid hormone and is required for normal thyroid function. Some iodine sources include cranberries, dried seaweed, cheese, turkey breast, and milk. Next, we have fluoride, which is necessary for the development of bones and teeth. Fluoride helps to harden tooth enamel and stabilizes the mineral in bones. Black tea and coffee, oatmeal, raisins, and potatoes are some of the natural food sources that contain trace amounts of fluoride. However, most people obtain fluoride from their tap water that may have fluoride added to it, as well as their toothpaste. And selenium is important for thyroid health, reproduction, and the defense against oxidative damage. And some of those ideal food sources include Brazil nuts, sardines, and ham. So as you can see, trace mineral sources are great for us. They significantly overlap each other. So there's a good chance that if it is a source for one mineral, it'll probably benefit another. Some of these food sources include nuts and seeds like cashews, pistachios, and pumpkin and sesame seeds. Seafood like cod, tuna, and mackerel. Shellfish, including clams, oysters, and crab, as well as mushrooms, spinach, beans, poultry, and dark chocolate. As you can see, a balanced diet that includes a variety of food can help to provide us with most of our micronutrient needs.
Wow, what a list. So many foods. Variety is the spice of life, they say. So that's a good thing. All right. Well, micronutrients are important to perform their own unique functions in our body, and having too much or too little of that mineral can lead to negative side effects. Now, a common question you're probably wondering is, how much of blank should I be having? Most healthy adults can get an adequate amount of micronutrients from balanced eating. There are some common nutrient deficiencies that affect certain populations. When we think of young children, the elderly, those who abstain from consuming animal products, or people who do have previously existing medical conditions, they may be deficient in certain nutrients. If you feel that you may not be getting a certain amount or enough of various micronutrients, it is important to take the time to discuss this with your physician. Symptoms and health issues linked to these deficiencies include anemia, mental and visual impairment, fatigue, and as we've learned, there's many benefits that we actually miss out on by not eating enough of certain nutrient-dense foods. So as I mentioned earlier, there's significant mental and physical benefits that come from things like vitamin D, via exposure to the sun. And it has been shown that approximately 77% of Americans, with the majority of them, us being in northern parts of the states, are deficient in vitamin D due to lack of exposure to the sun. So be sure to take a little bit of time to get outside each day. Vitamin B12, vegetarians and vegans are populations that may develop vitamin B12 deficiency from refraining from animal products. And as Shauna had mentioned, vitamin B12 is available in animal products only, so you can't really get that from plant-based eating. Vitamin A deficiency can cause vision loss or blindness. Vitamin B, B vitamins are essential in optimal brain function. Deficiency can contribute to mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, and or mood swings. Iron deficiency is common among young children, women, vegetarians, and being deficient in calcium can reduce bone strength and or lead to osteoporosis. The signs, symptoms, and long-term effects of these deficiencies depend on the nutrient, but can be detrimental to the proper functioning of our bodies and our optimal health. So reminder, if you have any concerns regarding potential micronutrient deficiencies, please connect with your doctor. Micronutrient toxicities are less common than deficiencies. They're not likely to occur. They are more likely to occur with fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, since these nutrients are stored in our liver and fatty tissues. They cannot be excreted from our bodies like water-soluble vitamins, leading to higher levels. Also worth noting is that chronic issues can come from excessive amounts of processed foods, sugars, and carbs. However, toxicity rarely comes from food sources, but rather exposure to things such as asbestos and or smoking. Signs and symptoms of toxicity also depend on the amount that you'd been exposed to. Micronutrient supplements. The safest and most effective way to get adequate vitamin and mineral intake is from food sources. More research is needed in order to fully understand the long-term effects of toxic levels and supplements. However, people at risk of specific nutrient deficiencies may benefit from taking supplements under the supervision of their doctor. All right, so let's wrap things up. Understanding that micronutrients refer to the vitamins and minerals, which are divided into macrominerals, trace minerals, both water and fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamins are needed for energy production, immune function, blood clotting, and other functions, while minerals benefit growth, bone health, fluid balance, and other processes. In order to get an adequate amount of micronutrients, it is best to aim for a balanced diet, which includes a wide variety of foods. Since our bodies require micronutrients in specific amounts, deficiencies and or surpluses of any one nutrient may lead to some negative issues. So if you're at risk of a specific deficiency, be sure to analyze what it is that you're eating and be sure to consult your doctor before starting any supplements.
All right, thank you, Jordan. So as you can see, upcoming webinars, as we start to get into those fall months, include Secrets to a Healthy Life in September and Burnout and How to Cope in October. Just a reminder that they take place live on the first Wednesday of the month, but they are recorded to access and view later. If you do have lifestyle rewards tied to the webinars and are required to submit answers to some questions, here are those questions. But no need to rush to write these down. You are able to access the slides along with view the webinar again through our blog, which is listed here. You can rewatch this webinar or any past ones, as well as register for any upcoming. Also, we are on social media, so feel free to follow and connect with us there. And if you do have any additional questions that may not be answered today, or would like to just connect with a health coach, shoot us an email or give us a call and get scheduled.
And we do have a few minutes here, so we're going to open it up to the questions that have been posted. And if you have